All right, guys, welcome back to a special episode. This would be kind of a one-off. We might do it a couple more times, maybe different aspects, maybe some question and answers. I don't quite know. But before we get started, I want to give a shout-out to my two sponsors real quick. I don't do this enough. Please go check out the Glen Avenue Soap Company. They're a soap company, organic soap company based out of Columbus, Ohio, but they'll ship to anywhere. So please just go check them out, see if you like anything they got. That's Glen Ave Soap Co.? I don't know. It's not the. I think it's just glenavsoap.com. I'm pretty sure. But if not, it's Glen Ave Soap Co. But I don't think it is. I think it's just glenavsoap.com. So go check them out, please. Also, the Voball, same thing. Go to thevoball.com. Go check out their product. It's a boxing fitness trainer. You can you use it to train head movement, break a sweat, whatever it is. But go watch the videos because. He's really been putting out a lot of stuff. Go follow on Instagram. Go find the Voball on Instagram because you can see tons of videos, and it's a really cool product. So please go check it out. I was going to play theme music, but since Blake is on the phone, I don't think it'll let me do it. Blake, you ruined my theme music. How's it going, man?
What did I do? I just got involved. I got a drink, and then you involved me in this nonsense. I don't know what we're going to be talking. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. What are we talking about today?
I heard fuck shit up, and I was like, yeah, you call me.
Yeah, sure, let's do it. Yeah, let's fuck shit up. Blake, I only brought one beer down here, so we can't fuck too much shit up.
Okay, I got a cup that's got some vodka and Sprite, and then I got my backup beer. So I don't know how long.
I'm drinking.
How much of that I'll need? I need fuel.
I brought down one Genesee. That's all I got.
Shout outs to Genesee.
Genesee Light, $5.99 for a 12-pack, 50 cents a beer for those of you math wizards. 50 cents a beer, buddy.
You can't beat that deal, man.
Cannot beat that deal. Sometimes. You cannot beat that deal. All right, let's talk some Mayweather McGregor. Now, I want to try to structure this to the.
Well, you should structure it by my nickname is MoneyBLAKEweather.
No. Trust me. I'm going to give you a bit of an introduction here. I've been on several podcasts or several of my own podcasts where, of course, McGregor Mayweather gets brought up. It's hard not to bring it up. It's one of the most fascinating things to ever happen to the sport of MMA. I mean, truly, and that's one of the things I want to say. I don't want to rant very much. I'll really try to keep this short, but. I just want to say, no matter how you look at this, no matter what your opinions of Conor are, whether you think this is a charade, whether you think this should or shouldn't happen, whatever it is, I beg you to just take a step back and just realize what is happening right now and just take it all in. Take this all in. This is absolutely incredible. You're talking about a man who 2 years ago was fighting Diego Brandao on Fight Pass, And 3 years ago, right? 2 years ago was fighting Chad Mendes
for his first belt. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? He was fighting 2 years ago. He was fighting Chad Mendes as a late replacement for basically an interim belt, in the featherweights, and now he's fighting Floyd Mayweather. 5-6 years ago he was still on welfare.
Yeah, man.
I mean, this is incredible. This is and I just want people, because we get so caught up in the narrative. We get so caught up in this, McGregor's going to get his ass beat, or Floyd's never fought a guy like this, or whatever. We get so caught up in these narratives, right? That everybody, they can't see the forest through the trees. What's happening right now is incredible. It's incredible for the sport of MMA, I believe, kind of no matter what happens. For me personally, I believe that. And also just for Conor, what he's been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. If he goes in there and gets starched in 45 seconds, which I don't think will happen, but if he goes in there and gets starched in 45 seconds, it doesn't even matter. He won. The second that fight got booked, he won. So I just want people to take a step back and kind of be able to see that. Blake, do you have anything to add to that sentiment or to take away from that sentiment?
No. Yeah. I like how you said the forest to the trees. I like to say they can't see the rainbow through the forest because we're deep in this forest, but there's an overlining rainbow. People ain't looking up enough to see it. So respect. Let's start off with respect on both parties.
Both parties.
For sure.
Yep.
Conor. But before I go into what I'm going to go into, I need people to understand I've gone for Conor every single fight. I changed my profile pic. I changed my life. You know, like, I am a huge Conor McGregor fan, so big ups to that man right there.
Yeah, you might be getting away from your Wi-Fi connection a little bit because you are you're starting to break up a little bit. Just so you know. So if you're moving around, try to move closer to something. So you know.
Do I sound better?
You're perfect right now. You're perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, you're perfect. Okay, great. Okay, I'm going to try to structure this because the problem with this is that I've heard you. So I know how much you can rant on this subject. And the thing is, I can too. So I want to try to structure this to where we can kind of hit on some really top level highlights. I think we're probably going to need to do at least 3 of these episodes, Blake. Do you agree?
Absolutely. At minimum.
Let's just say this is like kind of part 1. Let's just say this is part 1. So in part 1, I want to cover some kind of top level stuff. Okay. So. You do not know these questions I'm going to ask you, so I apologize for not allowing you to be more prepared.
That's okay. It's better I don't know.
Sure, I think it'll create more interesting conversation. So, okay, here's the first thing I want to do. Okay, people who are Floyd Mayweather fans, okay, who do not know a whole lot about MMA and who do not know a lot about Conor McGregor. Okay, what do you want to say to those people? Give me kind of one thing that Floyd fans who don't follow MMA or don't follow Conor, what do they need to know that they're missing the point on?
I think a lot of them bring up that Conor is an MMA guy. That, you know, he does MMA things. He's really a striker. Like, I've heard a lot of them like, oh, wait till he gets you down on the ground. Like, you know, Stephen A. Smith and the overlining narrative of guys that don't watch all of Conor's fights doesn't go to the ground. He's a striker with a 74-inch reach, which is the longest that Floyd's ever fought. And he's southpaw with the powerful left. But he doesn't like to fight on the ground. Like, that's the first thing that needs to be covered, I think, if you don't know anything about Conor McGregor. He's not a ground guy. He's a stand-up guy. Primarily, he's a counter-puncher with the left hand.
Okay, and then flip it. What are people who do not follow boxing? What is the one thing that you want to say to them that's like, hey, correct this mistake? You know, correct this misconception. What's the biggest misconception you think going into this?
That Floyd has trouble with southpaws. Floyd doesn't have any trouble with southpaws. In fact, his biggest trouble has come against guys who are not southpaw, but in fact orthodox, shorter fighters with shorter reaches, or even if they're taller fighters with shorter reaches. They tend to do the best against Floyd Mayweather. The names I'm going to throw out there, and you guys can go do your homework: Jose Luis Castillo, Marcos Maidana. Y'all probably know that one. Miguel Cotto had a few okay rounds. Jesus Chavez from Austin, Texas, had an amazing couple rounds with them where he did good. And Carlos Hernandez, just some guys that stand off the cuff of my head. But the one thing that they all have in common is that they're fighters who are close-range fighters. They're orthodox, and they're swarmers. They're not necessarily power punchers. They're just swarmers who can out-volume any one of their opponents. And Floyd has typically had trouble more or less with those guys, but has beaten everybody. But he has no troubles with southpaws. In fact, he's gotten better over the years when he's been fighting southpaws. Okay,
thank you. So we're going to try to keep it wrangled, right? See what I'm doing here? Mm-hmm. Kind of keeping it wrangled, doing that high level stuff. So let's kind of sum up what you said. So for people who are Floyd fans and or boxing fans, and primarily just don't follow MMA. Right. One of the things that's going to get caught in their head is like, oh, well, this guy fights MMA, so he's doing stuff on the ground all the time. So that means that he's not going to be able to even do anything like this. Which, what you're basically saying is like, hey, that's not even how he fights in MMA. Which is extremely true. I mean, the only takedowns he's ever had really are against Max Holloway because his leg was fucked up. So he kind of had to take him down because he didn't have a choice. So yeah, I mean. And then on the other side, I've heard this narrative about having trouble with southpaws, and I don't know a whole lot about boxing or Floyd. So when I heard that was true, I was like, or when I heard that was like people were saying that, I was definitely one of those people that was like, well, okay, that's probably true. I'm sure that's true. So it's interesting that it's not true. It's interesting that it's not true because but this is how this happens. The one thing that I knew wasn't true was the Floyd runs away narrative that you see, right? He doesn't run away. That's just it's a style. His style is he's a counterpuncher, and he's a guy who he backs up and baits people into doing stuff so he can then counter it. And that's a very basic.
That sticks in people's heads more or less. Like that sticks in people's. But if they go back and watch his fights, he's a pressure fighter too.
Sure. Okay.
In the first 4 rounds of Canelo, he pressured him backward, and everybody thought Canelo was going to come out and come. He's this younger guy. He's in his 20s. He's powerful. He's going to be heavier than Floyd. He's going to bully Floyd. And Floyd actually bullied him for the first 4 rounds, and it got bored of the rest of the fight because Canelo was basically his mind couldn't capture what the fuck was going on. So Floyd was in and out. But the first 4 rounds, pressure. So Floyd he can adapt to different styles.
What do you think is the most important fight? Obviously Floyd is a boxer, a very, very talented boxer, and he has, in a sense, fought 49 people who are better boxers than Conor McGregor. Essentially, because Conor McGregor isn't a boxer. He's boxed, but he's not a boxer. So, but what do you think as far as, anybody who has concerns as to whether Floyd could win this fight? Because there are quite a few people, right? The line in Vegas is not crazy. Floyd's like a minus 500, and that's kind of insane. Like they were pointing out yesterday, Chad Laprise was yesterday a higher favorite against Brian Camozzi than Floyd is against McGregor, which is, if you think about it, that is batshit insane. Just think about how crazy that is. So anyway, there are a lot of people who think that Conor can or will or whatever win this. So what do you think? What would you say? What is the most important fight where when people say, oh, Conor's going to be able to do this? What's the one fight where you're like, just go watch this fight. Just go watch this fight, and that's enough to just shut those types of people up?
That's hard to say, man. Because
for me, it's Canelo, because to me that's all the proof that you need. Because that was 2011. When was that?
2013, September 2013.
13. Okay, so even better, 2013. That was less than 4 years ago. So. In Canelo, we all know Canelo as being an incredible, very, very, very powerful boxer, very talented boxer, young guy, right? A guy who, if Canelo was fighting McGregor, I think more people would be on Canelo than they are Floyd, right? Which is interesting. So for me, it's Canelo. I think that's kind of the most important fight. Where you're like, listen, if Canelo can't do shit to Floyd, McGregor can't do shit to Floyd. Like, to me, like, that's like the fight. Because in Pacquiao, you can make arguments for Pacquiao going, well, Pacquiao's also old and also not very good. Just lost to Jeff, obviously this Horn guy, who I don't even know who the fuck that even is.
Nobody knows who the fuck that guy
exactly,
is.
Yeah. That's you just fought Jeremy Stevens, and I don't know.
Yeah. The reason can you hear me clear? Does that sound good?
Of course, yeah.
Okay. The reason I wasn't, I guess there's a trifecta. Like, Canelo is a prime example. He's just not southpaw. Like, if there was a southpaw Canelo, oh yeah, that would be that fight. But,
sure.
So I'll add that in there, maybe like 30% that, 30% Robert Guerrero, who was actually a southpaw.
Okay.
Met Floyd at 147, came in bigger, came in younger, and was a bully. He was a bully type fighter, but he was a fast bully type fighter. He came up from the lower weight classes and came up to 147, and that was like his third fight there. But he was bigger than Floyd. He was younger than Floyd. He was supposed to be faster than Floyd. He was supposed to be able to move quicker, have cardio. He was supposed to be the bully, and he was supposed to be southpaw. All these dangerous things on paper, like, if you write it out, you're like, ooh, this sounds juicy as fuck. But you watch the fight, and it's just, there's a blatant skill disparity, and this guy was a world champion as well. So that's the other maybe 33%. So we do 33 Canelo, 33 Guerrero, and I'm going to drop in Manny Pacquiao because Manny Pacquiao, even though he was older, guess what? And a lot of people, they just like to overlook this fact. He was younger than Floyd. Floyd was actually older than him when he beat him. Sure. So for everybody that's like, well, Floyd fights older fighters.
Now, was he older? Was he older both times or just one time? I just threw you off.
What do you mean?
Okay. He's always. I said, was he older than Pacquiao both times he fought him?
Oh no, yeah. Well, they've only fought once. So
I thought they fought twice. I thought he fought Pacquiao twice. Oh, okay.
No, he only fought once. Manny Pacquiao don't want it again. Yeah, he was younger. He was older than him, and even if they were fought twice, he'd still be older. You son of a bitch.
I know. That's what I was trying to do. It just didn't go over well because I thought they had fought twice. So
yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Why would he say that? But no, he was 30.
It was like when I was in.
Pacquiao was 36.
This was a true story. She when I was in the military, we like my attorney or whatever. I was a paralegal, as you are aware, but some people may not be aware. But my attorney was doing like cross-examination, and it was the defendant's father. And she said, "What's your relation to the defendant?" And he went, "I'm her father." And she goes, "Okay, how long have you known the defendant?" It's like, her whole life.
Since she was born?
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's exactly like that, though. But yeah, Floyd was 2 years older than Manny Pacquiao, so this narrative always was like, well, older fight, like Floyd beats up older fight. Like, no, dude. Like,
granted, I mean, this is what, 40 and 28, 40 and 29.
Right. And so the skill, the age disparity too would be closer to when he fought. And I'll even throw this name in there, Victor Ortiz, who was a younger 147 again, southpaw, who was bigger, who was supposed to be quicker. He was 24 when he fought Floyd, who was, I think at the time, 30, 35, 34. It was 2011, so he had been 34, I think. He was, still up there. People were like, dude, you're going to fight a bigger guy, a power punching southpaw, who's bigger, who's going to come in bigger. Like I've already heard this narrative so many fucking times.
Sure.
I don't need to hear it again. And people are like acting like this is all brand new. And even to throw in one more, Ricky Hatton. And I'll throw in the Ricky Hatton factor because Ricky Hatton, even though 147, he went to London, or he went to Manchester, where Ricky Hatton's from, and did the press conference there. So people are saying like, oh, Floyd's going to London for the press conference. It could be big. I'm like, he's gone to enemy territory before, you sucker. Like, he's gone to Mexico City to promote the Canelo fight. He went to San Antonio to promote the De La Hoya fight.
Well, he's not dumb. There. He realizes the way that you sell these fights, it's not just America. In fact, more people are probably going to buy this fight in Ireland than probably anybody has ever purchased a boxing match. I mean, it's like, this is going to set records in Ireland. This is
everywhere.
It's going to set records everywhere. But I mean, I'm talking for Ireland. They've never bought a boxing match the way that they're about to buy this boxing match. No. And unfortunately, I think what they're going to buy is the dismantling of their hero. But I mean, still, which we haven't even got into any of that, because honestly, there's no point in even. We all fucking know. I mean, it's hard. It is hard to listen to guys who I have a lot of respect for. Kind of talk about McGregor as if he stands a chance here, but. It's very interesting, to say the least.
But you know what? No, nobody ever talk about Floyd because nobody ever studied Floyd.
Nobody knows.
People, it's because everybody want to. I think the easier of the two is to focus on Conor. Conor has here's highlights.
Here's a question, and this is an open-ended question. Take as long as you'd like. Why does Floyd beat McGregor?
Because he outthinks him, man. Like, it's perfect. It's going to be perfectly it. He's going to outthink him. Floyd doesn't. I don't think. For a long time I've said this. I don't think his hands are quick. I think his spacing, his mental awareness of what you're going to do and what you're not going to do, is just, his IQ is just out there, man. Like, he's got a master's in boxing. And I was watching the Robert Guerrero fight one time, or last week actually, this past week, and I was watching a thing that he does where what he basically does, and I'm thinking about like when he fights Conor, Robert Guerrero southpaw. So what is he going to do? He outthought Robert Guerrero. What happened was Robert Guerrero was trying to counterpunch Floyd, and Floyd was basically finding the booby traps, almost like Indiana Jones style. Okay, if I step here, this is going to come. Okay, so if I step here and that's going to come, I need to go this way, and I need to do this. And if I do this, another booby trap's going to come. Okay, so let me reset. I know he's going to throw this booby trap and that booby trap, and that's all that's there. So I'm going to move. Boom, I got you. I've already outthought what you're going to do, and I figured you out like in 2 combos. And that's what he's going to do with Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor's bringing in somebody like Paulie Malignaggi to not because Paulie's a great boxer. Paulie's a decent boxer. He's a very good boxer, world champion, world class. But Paulie's mind is what Conor McGregor's searching for, because Paulie has seen all of Floyd's fights, his last 6 fights on Showtime. He has commentated them. Conor wants to try and outthink Floyd, and that's just not going to happen.
Do you think that's do you think that's an example of trying to, beat someone at their own game, which just means you're going to be one step behind them?
Yes, absolutely, 110%. Because what does Conor do? He tries to beat everybody at their own game. Like he forces himself to the fire and it's like, I'm going to beat you at your own game. That's what he did with just name anybody in the UFC. I mean, that's what he does. He puts you where you think you're going to beat him. You're saying, I'm going to knock you out. He's like, all right, cool, because I'm going to knock you out, and I already know how I'm going to do it. So I think he has an idea of how he's going to do this fight, and he's planned for plan A, B, and C, and maybe D and E. But Floyd has plan A through Z. Okay, if this doesn't work, I do this. If this doesn't work, I do this. And he figured it. He does it in such a short amount of time. He makes the adjustment in a short amount of time because he's already made that adjustment before. So, yeah, I mean, it's just going to be an outthinking game. Like, I don't understand people, who cares about it if Floyd's older? Who cares about if Floyd's smaller? I tell people this. I mean, just think about BJJ. Not necessarily does the bigger guy in BJJ always win if it's just a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition tournament. It's a guy with skill, and any coach can tell you this. And anybody, if you go to any gym, the little guy tends to dominate the bigger guy, even if they're the same belt class, because the little guys had to focus on the technical aspects of that sport. And he's going to outposition you, and he's already outthought you, and he's already been in that position because a bigger guy put him in that position last week. So it's just a game of outthinking. That's really all it amounts down to. It's not hand speed. It's not, Floyd has the power. Floyd has, no, it's not none of that. It's just outthinking. He's already outpositioning. He's going to outposition him like the entire fight. There might be a few moments, and they'll probably show that highlight over and over again of whatever few moments of success Conor has in the build up for his next fight. But quite frankly, this is going to be an outthinking game.
So kind of, again, flip the question. How does McGregor win? If he wins, what needs to transpire?
I basically said it earlier. He needs to. If I'm his coach, and it sounds crazy as fuck, and it's not going to happen, and it can't happen, and you can't do it in a short amount of time. But I'm turning you orthodox, and I'm making you a volume fighter, and you're going to be a bully because that's what tends to do the best against Floyd Mayweather. And you're going to pace yourself. You're going to go one round hard. Let go of the gas in the second round. Go third round hard, fourth round hard. Let go of the gas in the fifth. Even though Floyd might get that round, come back stronger. The sixth and the first half of the seventh. Let go. Pace yourself as you do this. That's the only way he's going to be able to do it. Because the trifecta of boxing, like there's a 3 trifecta kind of pyramid of styles. That kind of one beats the other. So the boxer beats the slugger beats the swarmer, and the swarmer tends to beat the boxer. Like that's kind of the rock, paper, scissors of boxing. And Floyd, obviously he's mastered both the slugger and the swarmer and the boxer. So, the best chance is for Conor to switch orthodox, and become a volume puncher. Like that's the best way he can, because that's what has been the most successful against Floyd. I
assume that won't happen. So I mean,
not at all.
Is that the same thing as you saying that, like, listen, there just is no chance of this happening?
No, I mean, because if you go into this game Like I hear a lot of people even Robin Black. I've heard him. He's like, well, Conor doesn't need to go in to be a better boxer. Conor just needs to go in to beat Floyd. Excuse me, sir. At least the last 15 boxers that Floyd fought tried to all do that. They all knew they were good boxers, but their whole game plan for 12 to 8 weeks was, I just need to build up a style to beat Floyd. Okay, what's worked in the past? And again, that's what they tried to do.
And the key word, boxers who trained to do this and were unable to do so. Now, what's interesting, though, is like, okay, maybe the method to beat Floyd comes from someone who comes from an MMA background who's thinking in that type of way, training to beat Floyd. I don't know. Maybe that's the, you know what I mean?
I also don't agree with that either because...
Well, I don't either, but I'm just saying, like, the other thing didn't work, so maybe this is how you have to do it.
Right. And so my counter for that is, let's look at the southpaw who had maybe the most success against Floyd Mayweather in Zab Judah. He lost the first 4 rounds of that fight clearly and he should have gotten Floyd should have gotten knocked down. They should have counted one of... He got knocked down and the ref didn't call it, but he clearly got a right hand check to the head from Zab Judah, touched the ground with his glove. The ref called it off as a slip. You could go either way with that. But Zab Judah had the most success. And I think one of the reasons that Zab Judah had the most success is his dad was a kickboxing champion in like the 80s. And he trained Zab Judah in kickboxing. So Zab Judah was a boxer and a kickboxer. So he knew about leg kicks. He knew about high kicks. He knew about hook kicks. He knew about everything. He knew all that. He had trained that style. And he's also I think he medaled in the Olympics in 96.
This is good. This is good information.
Yeah, he medaled in the Olympics in 96, and he had the most success as a southpaw against Floyd Mayweather, but still it wasn't enough. People say he lost his cardio, like they're like, oh, he just got tired. But no, he didn't just get tired. Floyd just kept landing body shots that took the win out of Zab Judah by the very end of it. And so Zab Judah got mentally defeated. It wasn't cardio, it was mentally. He got mentally defeated. And that's the same thing that's going to happen with Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, kickboxing, MMA, the stances are not, too different. They're not too far off, and you're worried about kind of some of the similar things in the clinch, kicks, elbows, knees. Zab Judah came in like that, and so people want to write that off. You know who else was a kickboxer? Ricky Hatton in his early days, and Ricky Hatton, he was orthodox, but he's fought guys that come from different martial art backgrounds that are just not boxing. So I don't get what this. People don't do their fucking research. It fucking irritates me that they don't do their research, and then they listen to people like Skip Bayless or Dana White. MMA people are listening to MMA people for confirmation bias, and when they need to give themselves the full spectrum and the full picture, I do it. I've given myself the full spectrum and the full picture. I know everything about Conor McGregor when it comes to his fighting styles. I've seen all of his fights in the UFC, and I know everything about Floyd Mayweather, and I've seen all of his fights in boxing. And I'm telling you, if you do your research, you will come away and you'll be like, damn it, I'm being prestiged right now. I'm being, they're throwing some smoke and mirrors in my face. Keep the concept simple about this fight. This is a boxer fighting an 0-0 guy from MMA. If we would have said this 10 years ago, we would have said Conor McGregor wants to fight Floyd Mayweather 10 years ago. Everybody would have laughed. They'd been like, who the fuck is that guy? 5 years ago even, they would have been like, who the fuck is that guy? 3 years, they'd been like, Conor still doesn't have a chance. 2 years, they would have been like, no, he still doesn't have a chance. Last year, they would have been like, yeah, he doesn't have a chance, but it's Conor McGregor. This year, why are we sold on him this year that, yeah, Conor McGregor has the chance finally? No, keep the concept simple. You can dig into as much as you want to and try to build up the hype for this, but I'm here to tell you, like, the numbers, everything says Floyd's going to win. Like, I don't understand.
No, I agree. And obviously we didn't get into a lot of the meat and potatoes. So next episode, that's my promise. Episode 2, we'll really get into some meat and potatoes of this stuff. But I wanted to do kind of a high level view and introduce you, man. I mean, give me your real quick before you go. Give me a little bit of your kind of background in boxing and how long you've been a fan, and obviously plug Loudmouth Boxing and kind of talk about that stuff.
Yeah, man. So obviously, everybody should know me. In the community, at least on your show, Loaded Joe's MMA podcast, Loudmouth Boxing. my nickname's moneyBLAKEweather, and that I didn't just make that up. I was given that to me, but I've followed MMA since 2009. I got into boxing late 2009, early 2010, and I've been on and off basically boxing in and out of gyms since 2010. Mostly in and out. I'm a lot of shape now. Sometimes I get back in shape, so that's my lifestyle. But don't judge me. But I've studied boxing. I've studied Floyd Mayweather, all of his fights. I'm a huge Floyd Mayweather fan. Hence the nickname moneyBLAKEweather. I even, when I box, like people are like, damn, like, I can see, I see the style, you definitely try to, so I try to think like him. I try to box like him. I try to do what he would do. I try to, emulate him when I'm doing what I do. So, I'm if you're a big fan. I'm the biggest fan. Like if Conor was smart and he listened to your show, he would give me a call so I could help him out in this camp. But I wouldn't unless he paid me a lot of money.
Hey.
And if Floyd Mayweather wants some insight, he can hit me up too. I want to help him.
Hey, if you get either one of those camps hitting you up, I don't care if they offer you. I don't care if they make you pay them money. You get the fuck out there. The fuck out of here. If Conor McGregor called you right now and said, "Hey, give me $200, come on down here," you'd be like, "All right."
I think about it. Let me sleep on it, man.
Let me sleep on it.
I can't be giving out Floyd secrets like that, man.
Right.
But yeah, man, Loudmouth Boxing is the show that I'm doing. Is the show that I'm hosting on the Loudmouth Network. So shout outs to you and the Loudmouth Network. But I'm doing a lot of work specifically on this fight. I've even thrown a video out there showing that Conor's, his main weapon against Floyd Mayweather, and will it or will not work? Has it worked in the past? Quick answer is no, it won't. But you can take a look at the video to see why.
Please go watch the video. Please go watch the video. I do not watch boxing, and I find this stuff interesting. And I mean, I have no interest to watch boxing. I'll watch this fight just because it involves Conor McGregor, but I have no interest in watching any other boxing match. I mean, it's just not my thing. I don't find it to be very interesting. So, and no, it's really good stuff, man. You do great stuff. So, guys, please go check him out. Please go check Blake out. Blake, man, thanks for coming on. Give it about 2 weeks, and let's do a part 2, and then probably give it about another 2 weeks.
The press conference.
Yep, and then let's meet up after the press conferences and kind of do a part 2.
I'm with it, man. I'm with it. Thank you so much for having me on. Everybody go follow me, Loudmouth Boxing, Loaded Judge MMA. Kyle, it's always a pleasure, my man. I love you.
I love you too, buddy. Always a pleasure.
All right, bro. Peace.
Well, there you go. Cool. Yeah, so we'll do this. I wanted to just kind of real quick, we're doing this pretty late. That's why we were rushing a little bit. We wanted to kind of keep it at a half an hour, since we're running late. But I want people to. I want to try to have a little bit more sensible dialogue about this stuff, because if you're in this community and you're listening to people talking about this, you are kind of like what Blake said. You're exclusively listening to MMA fans talk about this, and even if those MMA fans, like myself, exclusively MMA fans who are saying that Conor will lose, right? Us sensible folk, we still don't know anything about boxing. I don't know shit. Even though I think McGregor's going to lose and probably get dusted, I still have misconceptions about stuff where I'm wrong. So getting a guy like Blake on is invaluable, because he really does know what he is talking about here. He truly, truly knows what he's talking about, which is really important. So please go check me out, Loudmouth MMA, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. Loudmouth MMA is the name of the podcast. You can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, pretty much wherever you can find a podcast. You can find ours, Google Play, wherever you're listening to the podcast right now is perfectly fine with me. Keep listening there. Subscribe. Tell a friend. That's all I got. Keep on the lookout for part 2.